Greetings, hi, the War Owl greets you, and I'm going to be showing you here how to use the AWP in Counter-Strike Source. You don't need to view any of the previous tutorials in this series for this bad boy. It's a monster of its own. The AWP is a unique weapon in Counter-Strike Source, a sniper rifle, and an expensive one at that. The AWP has two zoom modes, accessed by right-clicking. The most important aspect of the AWP is that it is a one-hit kill to any part of the body besides the leg, hence the term legging an opponent. I know I like to emphasize shooting enemies in the head, but for the AWP, shoot for the chest or the body. It's a large, easy, juicy target, and it's always a one-hit kill. The AWP is most effective at long and medium range, and is the only weapon that is most effective at the longest ranges. The AWP can also be used at close range, but most players prefer to use a sidearm such as the deagle as a secondary to be able to protect themselves close up. There is a reason players switch to the deagle for close encounters, and that is that the AWP takes quite a bit of time to shoot. After your first shot, there is a period of time before the second shot can be fired, whereas with the deagle you can pretty much kill opponents as fast as you can fire. It is for this reason that the AWP is not as effective for fighting multiple opponents, or for fighting opponents close up. The AWP is extremely expensive, which makes it very important to try and protect your investment by purchasing a deagle, and picking up AWPs at the end of a round, even if it's just to give it to another player. There are many different ways to fire the AWP. In fact, most people develop their own style. It's kind of an art. The first way I'll talk about is the defensive AWP. This is done by zooming the AWP to whatever distance suits it and waiting at an area where enemies have to come from. This way, simply pressing the fire button when an enemy is in view will yield an easy kill. For all ways of firing, it can be prudent to switch weapons away and then back to the AWP in order to get it out of scope. You could right-click, but I feel more comfortable switching away because it used to make the AWP able to fire faster as well. The second way to shoot is to flick shoot. This is useful for offensive fighting, or when forced to be mobile with the AWP. The player will stay out of scope, then, when an enemy is near, scope to the first scope by right-clicking once, then flick the mouse to the opponent to kill them as soon as the AWP has scoped in. While I call it flick shooting, some people like to call it quick scoping, a technique used in noobier games like Call of Duty that use auto-aim. But enough about inferior games, back to Counter-Strike. A third way to use the AWP is a little less conventional, and that is to no-scope. No-scoping is pretty much what it sounds like. It's firing the AWP without using the scoping features. This makes it difficult because there is no crosshair on the AWP. Some players will make a physical dot on their screen where the middle is as a cheaty way to get a crosshair. I do not recommend this style of shooting unless you mean to embarrass somebody. Thanks for watching. I was planning on making a lot more tutorials for this tutorial series for Counter-Strike Source, but with Global Offensive coming out, I may decide to make a new tutorial series for that game. If you would like to see this series on Counter-Strike Source continued, please write so in the comments.